Hello there, Erin from Morehouse Farm here, and I'm demonstrating the Icelandic bind-off with this tutorial. And this is a really interesting one that's really stretchy, but it takes a little bit to get your head around because you need to knit each stitch through the one before it and then put it back on the needle. I know, sounds crazy, so let's take a look at what it is. So we're gonna knit the first stitch and then we're gonna put it back on the needle. But we wanna make sure we've got it in the correct orientation, which is right leg forward. So it takes a little bit of a twist at the beginning. Then we're going to knit this second stitch, but we're gonna poke the needle through the first stitch in order to grab that second stitch. And then we're gonna wrap the yarn around if we're throwers and drop them both off the needle. Then we're gonna put the stitch we just worked back on the needle, right leg forward, you'll know the yarn is coming forward, and repeat all the way through. So poke your needle into the first stitch, grab the second one as if to knit, throw the yarn around, and then be very careful to pull it out through just that second stitch, drop them both off the needle, and put the stitch back on the holding needle with the right leg forward. And that's how you continue with the Icelandic stitch until you've gotten to the end. Now, you might want to see it in continental, so I will do that. Switching the yarn to my other hand, I still need to poke my needle through the first stitch, grab the second one, make sure that I am able to pick the yarn and pull it through just the second stitch. Add my twist, back through the first stitch to grab the second one and pick the yarn, pull it through. Put the first stitch back on the needle, work my working needle through, pick the yarn, and pull them both off. And I'm gonna continue that for the rest of my swatch because that's what's gonna give me this nice stretchy bind off for a shawl like our powder mill shawl. And it's a little bit awkward to do this. I've never found another technique where I'm knitting one stitch through the other. Maybe I'm knitting stitches again, like with our rincon wrap, but through is a new one for me. So we're just gonna keep on going, not forgetting to twist the stitch when we put it back on the needle so that the right leg is forward, AKA the one with the yarn. And we're just gonna keep on working our way through all the way to the end. It takes a little bit of time, that's for sure, but it comes up with this really nice stretchy bind off. And look how cool that is. Mine's a little uneven, but don't worry, that'll all come out in the wash. And it's kind of got this neat nubbly little edge that we don't see with a lot of other bind offs. So we'll continue on here, again, twisting to make sure that we get the first stitch on the needle in the correct orientation. And keep repeating, poke the needle through, knit the second stitch through the first one, and drop them both off. Knit the second stitch through the first one, drop them both off the needle, put the first stitch or the newly knit stitch back on, and keep on going. Once you've done this for a little bit, you do get into a little bit of a rhythm, so it goes a little bit faster. And like I said, that also is gonna play a little bit with your tension. So don't worry about it. It'll all come out when you block it. Okay, here we are working our way up to the second side of the cable in my swatch. So we're making some progress. And coming back to the edge. Just a few more to go. Yank some yarn out. Sorry about that. We're gonna keep on twisting that first stitch to make sure it lands on the needle in the right orientation. So we knit it, we have the yarn to the back, we wanna make sure we turn it around so the yarn is to the front here, so the right leg is to the front. Knit all the way through, and if you ever get stuck like that, just go back to square one, poke the needle through, grab the second stitch as if to knit, because you're going to knit, grab the yarn and pull it off. Back on the needle, through to the second stitch, knit that one. Back on the needle, through to the second stitch, knit that one. Back on the needle, through to the second stitch, and we're almost almost done. So the goal here is to try and keep it as even as possible, of course, but that's the great thing about blocking. If it doesn't work out exactly when you wash it, it will. Okay, here we go, down to our last couple. Oops, make sure you don't slip it off the needle like that. Get so excited, sometimes they jump. And here we go. Now for our last one. Okay, and then just pull the yarn through like you normally would. Okay, and there is our Icelandic bind off for our powder mill shawl. And if you notice, they all have this little mustache shape. Maybe I'll turn it upside down and then you can see it a little bit better, right? Where we've got a little bump in the middle here and then a nice round bottom at the beginning. So you've got two choices. You can either block this out or you can accentuate it. And that's what we'll talk about in our Blocking the Powder Mill Shawl video. Thanks for watching. Happy knitting from Morehouse Farm.